Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Okay, this is the second round draw for the 31st edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. Uh, a couple of weeks ago, we had the first round. That was started with 36 people in it, and we are now down to 21. Uh, so just quickly go over those names, remind ourselves who's still in it after a couple of weeks. Well, after one round, but a couple week break rather. We have A or A Laugh Miles off an AZ, however you pronounce that. Baron von Rattus, Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, C Collins 44, Cheeseball, Damien Handel 420, Dr. Maxis 2, Foghorn Sam, Geneva 65. Our first alliance is me and KK Combos, KK Terry. Knife Rusty, Cushy Cake, Piggy Bank, Problem, Siyun Six, Tosh, Trig. The second of our alliances, Trostradamus, Tros and Costradamus, of course. Our German alliance, Uber Industry, Uber Matched and Schwer Industry combined together, and Excon Chris. Okay, so they're the individuals and alliances left in the game, and for the second round draw, we've got a UFC Fight Night in Paris. Funny enough, the first one was Shanghai Fight Night for the first round. This second round's Paris Fight Night, international version of Lucky Bastard game, I guess. It's Nasruddin Imavov versus Xiao Boralho. Um, it's a very close fight, to be fair, for main events, and two fighters that are somewhat risen to prominence in recent years in the middleweight division, but Imavov obviously, with that statement knockout of Israel Adesanya last time out, also knocked out likes of Cannonier as well, and got good wins as well versus Brendan Allen and Roman Dolidze. He's been steadily making his way up the division towards a title shot potentially. Um, Hal Baralho, on the other hand, he's also has a win over Jared Cannonier. Um, he's also knocks out Paul Craig as well, which isn't which bearing in mind Paul Craig went the distance with Bo Nickel. That's very impressive, and also got a few subs and in his arsenal as well that he's shown on a few occasions. But he mostly try and look for the knockout, I'd reckon. Very comfortable going the distance as well. It'd be interesting to see how that translates in a 5 round fight. But um, overall, between the two of them, I've gone back and forth a few times. I've gone with Cal Baralho simply because I just feel he's a little bit more well rounded. But Ivanov's got the better names on this record, in my opinion. So it's very close. But I'm going with a Baralho decision, although I'm not at all confident in that. That this really is just a pick me fight, and I'm simply going with Baralho because I have to pick one of them. And not a hell of a lot to split 'em, to be honest. But anyway, you're not here to listen to my nonsensical rambles, even though that's inevitable. You're here to see who you're getting drawn with. So first up to learn their fate is A, or A laugh my ass off an AZ. Let's see who he'll be drawn with. He gets Axel Solar. Axel Solar for a nice easy name to spell to start with, and I'm always grateful when they come up. Undefeated as well, 10 wins, no losses, one draw, making his UFC debut. Was also a champion in Ares, which is a French promotion. It's quickly becoming one of the most prominent MMA promotions in Europe really starting to give KSW and Cage Warriors a run for its money in that market. So being a champion in there is a very good pedigree. He defended it 4 times as well. So he's certainly got some. He's used to the big occasion, so I wouldn't have thought being making his debut in the UFC is going to phase him too much. Sometimes a nerve-wracking occasion for fighters, but I don't think that'll be a problem for him. Um, he's up against Reese McKee, who's a bit more experienced in the UFC, although that is it's doesn't quite tell the whole picture because he's 1-4 in the UFC over 2 different stints. Um, but Reese McKee himself was a former Cage Warriors champ, so he's had titles in other regional promotions as well. But it's Cage Warriors is the main one that's notable that's to hold a belt in. So basically got an Ares champ versus a Cage Warriors champ. Um, and fairly, it's a fairly close fight. But I'm going with Axel Solar for the decision win here, simply because he has been very impressive over in Ares, and he's I say still undefeated, still have that confidence going for him, and of course, being French fighter, he's got the home crowd behind him as well. I'm expecting Axel Sosa to get a win here, and I think he's got a reasonably good chance of getting through to the third round. Okay, so we've got Baron von Rattus up next to face the wheel. Let's see who the wheel's got in store for the rat or the king of the rats. He gets Marcin Tybura. Marcin Tybura there for Baron von Rattus, a bit of heavyweight action. Uh, Currently riding a 2-fight win streak. He had some knockout losses against Spivak and Aspinall, and but he has kind of bounced back a bit from those losses. To be fair to him, he's established himself as not quite in the title picture or one of the contenders for the belt per se, but he's firmly established himself as just outside that level, which is no mean feat at all. He's good ranks heavyweight, and he has the honour of welcoming Ante Delija to the UFC, who's a very experienced fighter himself, despite making his UFC debut, because he's former PFL champion, 8-3 in that promotion overall. Um, Also had fights over in Rising and KSW as well. So he's experienced. He's not your usual UFC. When we're talking about a UFC debut, we're talking about someone that's maybe about 10-0 coming from the contender series. But Delisio, to be fair to him, is already an established veteran of MMA of the sport. So he comes into the fight well equipped, and I've got him to win a decision against Marcin Tybura. Um, I can't really see him stopping Tybura at all, but it's but then again, I can't really see Tybura stopping him either, if I'm being completely honest. But Tybura is probably most likely to be stopped given his knockout losses, but in the UFC. But I just can't see Delisha doing that. But I can see Delisha just controlling most of the action and just generally getting the better of the exchanges and just doing a better job of scoring, keeping points, and I can see him riding out for some maybe a little bit unspectacular, but well earned unanimous decision. Okay, so we've got Bellatrix up next. Let's see what the wheel has in store for Bellatrix. And Bellatrix gets Robert Bryzek. Probably haven't pronounced that one right, but Robert Bryz. See if I can really spell it right. CZEK. Robert Bryzek there for Bellatrix. And he's up against Brad Tavares. That's middleweight contest fairly early on in the cards. Right, so Robert is lost. It's his second fight in the UFC, having lost his UFC debut. Um, won a few regional titles in various smaller promotions. Uh, Mostly a KO artist. Looks to try and knock out his opponents, finish the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing as well. Uh, Up against Brad Tavares, on the other hand, he's a bit more of a UFC veteran by comparison. He's got a decision win against Gerald Meerschaert last time out. Um, does Is on a bit of a bad patch though at the moment because he's lost three of his last five. Two of those have been knockout losses. Um, Having said that, I'm still going with him, despite that, simply because he's faced better competition than Roberts has in his career, from where he's been in the UFC for a bit longer. So how's he going to do it? I'm going to say maybe he uses a bit of his experience, gets out a decision win. Um, he's 37 now, so he hasn't quite got the same explosiveness as he did in his youth. So I can see him generally just using the experience to manage the fight, get a unanimous decision win. But all in all, I think it's a reasonably confident one for Bellatrix. Not a sure thing at all, but I wouldn't be too disappointed with that one if it comes up uh, for me and KK Kombu later. Okay, so we got Boom Shakalaka is next. Let's see who Boom Shakalaka is going to be paired with for tomorrow night's action. Oh, and he gets Reese McKee. Uh, Reese McKee there for Boom Shakalaka. Means we got our first head-to-head already. Because he's up against Axel Solar. Meaning Boom Shakalaka is also up against A laugh my ass off an AZ. So that's the one-on-one at the moment. That could possibly end up being more added for other people to get Reese or Axel. As I mentioned earlier, though, is Reese McKee, former Cage Warriors champion, but not had the best of luck when in the UFC, really. He's not quite been able to make that jump up to UFC level. Axel Sosa is going to be, this is his first time stepping up to the UFC, so we don't know if he is capable of making that jump up, but we're going to find out. And I don't have any reason to doubt him. So, as I mentioned earlier, he's obviously in his respective promotion areas, champion there as well. Uh, I'm expecting him to get a decision win. So, think of that 1v1. I think A's got the better of the two fighters, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. Well, maybe McKee's more experience will be a deciding factor. Maybe a win on that instead. But it do well to get a decision against Solar. So if he were to get a win, he'd have to look to finish the fight, in my opinion. But yeah. So it's not impossible, I suppose. Strange things have happened in this sport. Okay, so we've got C. Collins, 44, next to learn his fate. See what Will's got for our fight center editor. And he gets Brad Tavares. There we go. It's Brad Tavares there for C. Collins 44. I mean, you've got another head-to-head here with obviously Brad Tavares versus Robert Brycek. I mean, we've also got C. Collins 44 versus Bellatrix. So two separate head-to-heads going on there. As I've just mentioned, I'm expecting Tavares to get the win. It's a fairly close fight, but Is Tavares' experience in the UFC is going to be the deciding factor, despite the fact that he's a little bit older, not by much though, because Robert's only 35 actually, but a few years can have massive impact in this sport. But he is more experienced in MMA and at UFC level, and I think that is going to be what decides this fight. Uh, and he's not exactly completely washed because, like I say, he's coming off a win against Gerald Mercheret. Mercheret himself had a little bit of a resurgence in the last couple of years, so yeah, no, I've still got faith in Tavares to win this one. So of that head-to-head, I think C Collins 44's got the better of it. Okay, Cheeseball is next. See what waits him tomorrow night. See who he's going to be rooting for. And Cheeseball gets Paul Craig. Paul Craig there for Cheeseball, and he's up against Modestas Bukauskas, who I definitely haven't pronounced the name correctly of, so apologies for him. Um, Obviously, Paul Craig was start with him given was the one that got drawn. His last fight's rather funny no contest against Bellato with the up kick and or the illegal up kick in this case, but he was on a three fight losing streak before that. But to be fair, he didn't actually look too bad in the no contest. So I suppose he's uh, I say the three fight losing streak in no contest is not the best form to come into, but it's not as bad as it sounds on paper. Really, is what I'm trying to say. And as I mentioned in the introduction as well, he when I think of him as recent fights, the one that sticks in my mind the most is that fight with Bo Nickel. Uh, Took him the distance, probably the first person to really challenge him in his career. So he's got that dog in him, and he's got that grit and determination. He's not an easy fighter to come up against at all, despite his slightly unflattering record of 17 wins, 9 losses, and a draw. And the no contest as well. Has done a lot now. Um, Up against Modestas is 18 and 6 by comparison, so he's fairly experienced himself. Paul Craig's just a little bit more, but is Modestas isn't exactly a nobody himself. Got a split decision against Ion Kutalaba last time out, and mostly a knockout artist who definitely prefers to keep the fight standing. Interesting mix of styles because I think because uh, Paul Craig is definitely going to be trying to take it to the ground, keep it there. So that's his best route to victory to potentially find a submission, in my opinion. So it's striker versus grappler, if you ask me. Personally, with this one, I'm going with the striker though. I've got Modestas to win the decision. He's shown he can go the distance a few times before, and I can't see him finishing Paul Craig at all. So it makes all the sense in the world to win over the distance against someone like Paul Craig. I think that's probably going to be the game plan as well, or at least it should be, in my opinion. Right, so Cheeseball, yeah, if Paul Craig starts taking this to the ground, and then you've got a good chance of getting a win, I reckon. But it's not a one I'd bet on, that's for sure. But good luck anyway. Now we move on to Damien Handel for 20. Let's see what the wheel has in store. And he gets Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes for Damien Handel for 20. This one's a bit of a funny one because she's up against Shauna Bannon, who's got much better records. And to be honest, I've been more impressed with Shauna Bannon watching her fights. but yeah, she's the underdog. Sam Hughes is the favourite for this one, or at least the bookie's favourite by minus 200 and something. Um, which, given how inconsistent Sam Hughes can be, I don't understand that at all, if I'm being honest. Um, Sam Hughes definitely got a more UFC experience, more MMA experience as well. Record of 10 wins and 6 losses, 10 fights in the UFC. So she's a UFC veteran at this point, 5-5 in the UFC. But and I'd say that she's also more likely to finish the fight. But Shona Bannon has been very impressive. Yes, she mostly goes the distance, but she's undeniably won those fights. Um, she does have a good uh, as a ground game, particularly she showed us in one of her recent fights that she can finish it on the ground if you give her a chance. I think decision's more likely though, but also had a good few wins over in Victor as well, which is uh to be fair, I miss it. It's the only all female MMA promotion I can think of. Maybe there's some other ones, but it's one of the leading ones. And to be fair, as an MMA promotion itself, it certainly rivals a lot of the other promotions, or a lot of the other regional promotions, and a lot of the women that have come from that promotion have done quite well in the UFC. Um, so I've gone with her for a decision, and I'm surprised that she isn't the favourite. Um, I wouldn't be if I was in Damien Handel's 420's position. I wouldn't be confident in Sam Hughes at all. But we'll see what. So maybe the bookies know something I don't. I don't know, a secret injury or something. So I mean, admittedly, it could be a detail like that I've missed because I mean, a fairly busy week this week. I've not really had the time to absorb all the quite the same behind the scenes info that I usually do. But yeah, no, I just in terms of what from what I remember of their fights, I just don't see how Sherman Bannon doesn't take this. But we'll see. MMA can be unpredictable at times, women's MMA particularly. So yeah, maybe Damien Adder will get through, and I don't know. But probably makes it look like a bit of a tip. Probably will, but let's see what the bookies know that I don't. Anyway, I move on to Dr. Maxis 2 now. Anyway, so let's see who the wheel has in store for Dr. Maxis 2. Gets Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis for Dr. Maxis 2. And co-main event against Mauricio Ruffy, who's got off to a very good start in the UFC. We'll get back to Ruffy in a second. So start with Benoit, since he was the one that got drawn. Um, he's he got a win last time out. He's sort of a bit of a comeback win against Propolek. He needed that after his back-to-back knockout losses against Moicano and Poirier. Um, but up until like the last couple of years, though, he was absolutely hurtling up the lightweight division with all those knockouts, and I don't, and I don't, he's still got that potential in him. Obviously, Dustin Poirier is still one of the world's best at the time he fought him, and Moicano as well, staple of the UFC lightweight division. Obviously, had a title shot, not necessarily on the back of being one of the world's best, but fair play to him. He's still been hanging around the rankings and causing making a bit of a nuisance of himself down at featherweight as well during his time down there. But I can see Benoit Saint Denis. It definitely try and look for the knockout, but against Mauricio Ruffy is that's going to be a bit of a problem because that's going to be Ruffy's game plan as well. I'd reckon. the fight ends in the first round, in my opinion, and I think Ruffy's going to be the one that finds that shot first. He's come into the UFC three and zero in the UFC. He's just been knocking everybody out, particularly his knockout of King Green in the last fight. Very impressive. So in a way, kind of doing what's making the same kind of impact that Saint Denis had when he first came into the promotion. Um, but yeah, I've gone with Ruffy for this one. New kid on the block, I suppose. Maybe with and it's going to be one of those. It's going to be an absolute firefight. They're going to both be throwing bombs straight away at each other. So it's going to be a good, entertaining fight for as long as it lasts. Anyway, so we've got Foghorn Sam next to take on the wheel. See if the wheel's going to be kind to Foghorn Sam, and Foghorn Sam also gets Reese McKee. So it's Reese McKee for Foghorn Sam. Obviously Boom Shakalaka. We got Reese McKee earlier as well. And so it's Boom Shakalaka and Foghorn Sam up against A and Axel Solar. But as I said earlier, I think Solar's going to be taking that one. UFC debut, but looking very good. Reece McKee, on the other hand, hasn't really got his footing in the promotion uh, in his career so far. But it would definitely be an upset for if McKee were to pull this off and end the undefeated streak of Solar, especially in his home country of France. So it's an uphill fight for Reece McKee, and in turn, obviously, it's going to be an uphill fight for both Foghorn Sam and Boom Shakalaka, with A definitely having the better side of that head to head. Okay, so shaping up to be the UFC Lucky Bastard Game main event anyway at the moment. Maybe still too early to call, but maybe that'll be the unofficial Lucky Bastard Game main event. Next in line is Geneva 65. Let's see who Geneva 65 is going to be paired with. And Geneva 65 also gets Paul Craig, as did Cheeseball earlier. Um, as I mentioned, up against Modestas Buzukias. Again, apologies. I'm just going to call him Modestas. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing his first name right, let alone his second name. But I know his second name's definitely not. So apologies again to him. Uh, Paul Craig, a much simpler name to pronounce for a start. Uh, Obviously, not had the best of luck as of late, but still looked decent in that no contest. But the simple truth is uh, Modestas is in better form at the moment. He's got coming into this on a win, split decision, admittedly, and controversial one at that, but a win's a win. Um, and yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've got him to go the distance because he'll usually try and look for the knockout, but I can't see him knocking out Paul Craig. The only real threat, as mentioned earlier, is if Paul Craig does take it to the ground effectively and finishes him there. But I think Modestas can fight him off if that were to happen. I don't think it's going to be. It's a threat, but it's not going to be a case of like, oh, he really needs to avoid going to the ground at all costs. It just means that when they're on the ground, Craig's going to get the better of the exchanges. That's all. But if Craig does get a good position, he'll need to finish it there, though. He can't afford to be gun shy for this one. Okay, so it's me and KK Kombu, KK Terry, uh, the debut for this alliance as well. So let's see who we're going to get drawn with KK Kombu. Let's see. We got through the first round, and for our second round, we have Sam Pattinson. Sam uh, Patterson there for us, and KK Kombu as well. Um, it's up against Trey Waters, and got off to a decent start in the UFC. 3-1. Got the win streak as well. Lost the debut, but won three in a row after that. Is he won by knockout last time. It's a little bit unusual because he had the two wins by submission before that. Whereas Trey Waters, on the other hand, again fairly new to the UFC as well, 2-0. He was also 2-0 in LFA as well. Uh, the only danger really with Trey Waters, he's very, very well rounded. Coincidentally, he's 9-1. Uh, his only loss came by submission, but uh but yeah, his nine losses are split very evenly. There's three knockouts, three submissions, and three decisions. So he can do everything. That's what he's shown so far. So no real glaring weaknesses to speak of. Um, Sam Patterson, though, I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth on this fight. I probably will still go back and forth, but now that obviously I've been drawn with him, I'll uh, probably go and pick him. If I'll double check whether I picked him or not. I can't actually remember, but uh, well, I probably will now just because we've been drawn with him. In fact, let me go do that now before I forget. What was I? If we just go back to Diddly Doodah, Sam Pattinson, edit pics, Diddly Doodah. Fuck is it? Oh, there is. Oh, yeah. Second round submission, apparently. Okay. A little bit optimistic with that one, to be honest, but I'll just leave it as that. But yeah. Anyway, bit of interest there for that one as well. Um, I suppose I probably picked that on on simply on the basis that that's the only way Waters has ever lost, really. But we'll see. There's still quite a few unknowns about this guy, but yeah, I'm rooting for Patterson, and I'm sure obviously KK Kombu will as well. Be interesting to see if KK Kombu has any strong opinions on Sam Patterson. Either way, but yeah, I'm fairly confident in that one. We definitely, I reckon we can get through the third round. Okay, so Knife Rusty next to discover his fate. I'll just check I did put this back onto the wheel page, yeah, for the screen sharing, yeah. Okay, so Knife Rusty. See what awaits him. And he also gets Brad Tavares there for Knife Rusty. Um, C. Collins had Brad Tavares as well. Bellatrix said his opponent Robert as well. I'm sure I thought two people had Roberts. Nope. Okay, that was just a 1v1 before then, apparently. Okay, so that's Bellatrix versus C. Collins and Knife Rusty now. And Brad Tavares, obviously the UFC veteran in this case, in this fight. Um, is with Robert having lost his UFC debut and Tavares being in the UFC for as long as I can remember, if I'm being honest. Um, Tavares not had the best of runs in his recent few years. But to be fair, he did win his last one, so he's still got that. He's still got a little bit of form in him, and he's certainly not faded to the level where he's losing to people just coming into the promotion or people that have not got off to the best of starts in the promotion. So Tavares for a decision there is my pick for that one. So my opinion hasn't changed since the last time I've mentioned him in this game, but I suppose that's a rival uh, for the actual solo Reese McKee fight for being the unofficial Lucky Bastard game main event. We'll see. Obviously, for either of those fights, we could still end up with a few more added on to either side of them. But now we go with Cushy Cake. Is about to learn which fighter he's going to be paired with. And Cushy Cake also gets Sam Hughes, just like Damien Handel did. So Sam Hughes there. And as I mentioned, I don't understand why Sam Hughes is the favourite in this one. Besides the only things I can think of is that she's got more UFC experience, had more fights under her belt in the promotion at this level. But even though Sharuna Bannon doesn't have the same UFC pedigree, she's had the better career so far. Yeah, not as experienced, but her performances have been better. Um, and to be honest, if you look at the ones that Sam Hughes has beaten, I think she can that Bannon could beat the ones that Sam Hughes has wins over. So we'll see. But again, I just don't understand why Bannon isn't the favourite for this one. Uh, and the only thing I can chalk it up to is obviously the bookies are heavily favouring the UFC experience, despite in my opinion, Bannon looking like the better fighter of the two. But I think that Kushi Kaken's Damien Andor 420 are going to need a bit of luck. The bookies think they're going to be fine, so we'll see who's right and who's wrong tomorrow night. Okay, so we got Piggy Bank next to be assigned a fighter from the wheel. Let's see who Will has for Piggy Bank, and he gets Balaji Oki. Balaji Oki there for uh, the Piggy Bank. Apologies if I've mispronounced your name there, Balaji. Excuse me. But anyway, excuse me. Okay, so he's up against Mason Jones. He's obviously you start with Balaji Oki first. Did 2-1 in the UFC, 10-0 in his career, so still fairly young. Still got a lot of his career ahead of him. Um, Usually tries to look for the knockout for what we've seen so far of him, but he's can go the distance as well. So he's got the stamina to do that. Gonna he's not one of these that looks for a KO early and then immediately gasses out, which is always a good sign. But up against Mason Jones though, and there's it doesn't really feel like there's a huge golfing experience, but Mason Jones is obviously 2 wins, 2 losses, and one no contest uh, over his 2 stints in the UFC. But he's 12-0 in Cage Warriors, was their lightweight champion, of course. And um, to me, that's incredible because Cage Warriors is a very it's a very prestigious promotion to be in. It's I would still say Cage Warriors is the number one promotion in Europe, as much so Glaze, Ares, and uh, KSW as well. So at the moment, Cage Warriors still very much holds the top spot for the European MMA promotions. and to be the champion over there is an incredible achievement. And that skill gap is going to be, I think, going to be the deciding factor in this one. I've gone Mason Jones for a second round knockout. Um, yeah, so I think Bellagio, Kai, and Piggy Bank are going to need a fair bit of luck if they're going to survive this round. Someone that hopefully won't have the same problem is Problem. We're going to find out if he's got a problem, or if the wheel has a problem with him. And another one for Reese McKee. So he's going to be our golden boy for this round. Lucky bastard golden boy. How many's on the Reese McKee hype train now? That's Problem, Foghorn Sam, and Boom Shakalaka, all with Reese McKee. Up against Axel Solar. And we're still the only time. He's still the only one with Axel. Um, so yeah, that's another one added to that fight. And this having come up three times before, there's not really much else I can add to, if I'm being frank. But other than I'm expecting Solar to get decision on his UFC debut in his home country, maintain his undefeated record against a guy who has struggled in the UFC. He's had an impressive Cage Warriors career, also a Cage Warriors champ like Mason Jones, as I mentioned, and so he's not some random bum they've just pulled from any random promotion. He's a very distinguished fighter, but this is just a nasty bit of matchmaking for him, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think. The thing that's so it's a 3v1 anyway, and I think we're probably going to end up with most of the people on that side being eliminated here. Okay, so we have Cian6 next to face the wheel. Let's see who the wheel has planned for him. Uh, yeah, okay, good luck pronouncing this one, but it's Rinat Fakhreddinov. I apologize to Rinat for mispronouncing your name. And probably going to butcher the spelling of it as well. Um, I think. But anyway, I've gone with him to win a decision in his fight against Andreas Gustafsson. Um, Rena's been in the promotion for a while now. He's uh, not sure exactly what his UFC record is off the top of my head, but he's mostly won his decisions and gone the distance in his UFC fights. In a way, I feel like the fact that he's had about probably five or six UFC fights and he's still he's always put quite far down. He's the second fight on the prelim, uh, and it's unfairly so because he's it's not that he's not entertaining, but obviously the UFC they want to promote people to finish fights, and he hasn't been, or at least not in the UFC anyway, because if you look over his record, it would show that he's got plenty of knockouts on the regional scene. Um, so it's not as if he doesn't have the ability to finish fights, but just in the UFC, he's been a slightly more cautious game plan, getting the wins, but not getting the push I think he deserves from the UFC because of that. He's up against Andreas Gustafsson, who's won his UFC debut. He's also had a couple of fights over in KSW as well. Uh, and he's the complete opposite in terms of his style. He's most of his fights are by knockout, usually in the first round as well. So I think the UFC are probably hoping that Gustafsson can knock out Riaz and finally have someone else uh, to sort of promote over someone that they clearly don't care about all that much. but Rinat's going to be too good for him, in my opinion. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to sort of stifle the initial onslaught that Gustafsson will no doubt throw at him. And I think if Gustafsson's going to gas out, and then um, obviously Rinat just controls the rest of the fight from there. I think it's just a case of game management's going to win out for Rinat there. And after 3 rounds, I think CN6 will be going through, as well as Rinat getting another win on his record. But CN6 will be going through, in my opinion. That's why he is the main thing he wants to hear. Just have to just have to wait and see if that happens now. Okay, we have Tosh next up. Let's see who the wheels got in store for her. Um, and Tosh gets Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis there for Tosh. Who else had him earlier? Let me just scroll up quickly. Benoit Saint Denis, yeah, Dr. Maxis 2 also had Benoit Saint Denis. Such a nice name to say. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but it's a nice name to say. Um, Obviously up against Mauricio Ruffy, knockout artist, and come into the UFC all guns blazing, 3-0. And yeah, just sort of really put the lightweight division on notice. And as I was saying about the UFC rewarding fighters to get finished, here he is, 3-0, already in the co-main event of quite a prestigious fight night card. This isn't just some random Apex fight night card. This is one of their international ones, which they usually do try and make a better effort of in terms of production value, in terms of promotion, in terms of stacking the card out as well. So more eyeballs on this event than there would be on a normal Apex fight night card. Um, I say he's been finishing fights. He's been rewarded for it. And does he finish this one? I think so. I think he's more likely to. Uh, there's no way this fight goes the distance, that's for sure. And both Saint Denis and Mauricio Ruffy are capable of finding the knockout. It's just a question of who finds it first, and I think Ruffy's going to be the one that finds that. Okay, so we have Trig next to take on the wheel. Let's see. That's the wheel's plans for Trig are. Or Trig are. To clarify what I said there. And Trig gets William Gomez. William Gomez there for Trig. And obviously a hometown fighter for the French fans to get behind. I've got him to win by decision against Robert Ruchala, and was obviously making his UFC debut. But Gomez, on the other hand, is a staple of the UFC. He's yeah, he should have the experience to see off a debutant, and admittedly, Robert Ruchala is 8-1 former KSW, two-time KSW champion. Uh, and he's yeah, like I say, that's no mean feat at all. It's another European champion that's making his UFC debut and coming up against someone that's a bit of a veteran in the UFC. So it's a prospect versus. I mean, I suppose that's a bit of a misleading to call Gomez a veteran by comparison. He's still only 14-3 in his own career. So, but it's just by comparison, he's having more UFC fights in his career. Been fighting at that higher level for longer. And yeah, I think he's going to get the decision win in this fight. Um, Richardo has gone the distance plenty of times in his own career, so I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. It's not a case of um, it's going to be a case of him gassing out. He's got good cardio, so he's but he has been looking to knock people out recently, in this so he sort of comes into this as a bit of a knockout artist over in KSW. So Gomez is going to have to be careful that he doesn't get caught. Um, but I don't think he will. I think he's smart enough to avoid that. And yeah, a decision win for William Gomez there, and I think Trigg's going through. I think Trigg will be going through to the next round as a result of that. Okay, Trostradamus next to take on the wheel. Uh, and one of our other alliances. Good to see all three of the alliances that entered this game went through. So Tros and Costradamus. Trostradamus, let's see who they're going, what their plans are. Marcin Tybura for Trostradamus, and someone else had Marcin Tybura as well, didn't they? Who else had him? Yes, Baron von Rattus also had Marcin Tybura earlier on in the game. Uh, Obviously, he's got the task of welcoming Ante Delija to the UFC, the former PFL champion. Uh, Very well-rounded fighter, Delija, though, very dangerous fighter. And I can see him coming into the UFC and making an immediate impact because they've got some very good fighters over in the PFL. Admittedly, it's not quite as stacked as the UFC, particularly their heavyweight division. But then the UFC's own heavyweight division has been a little bit. It's not compared to how it was, say, 10 years ago. It's nowhere near as strong as it used to be. Um, but I think Delicia's going to be breathing some new life into the division. Okay, so what does that mean for Trostradamus? Basically, Tibura's. Uh, I've got him as the underdog. I don't know what the odds in terms of the bookies are, but I've got him as an underdog personally, slight underdog. But he's not gonna he's gonna put up a good fight though, and it's gonna be he can certainly it's certainly not impossible for him to get a win either because he's held his own with pretty much everyone except the very elites of the UFC. So fairly competitive heavyweight fight, but one that I think Delicia's going to get the better of. So Trostradamus might just need a bit of luck if they're going to maintain our perfect record of having all our alliances get through. Uber Industry is our last alliance of this game, of this round rather. Um, is going to be uh, s- excuse me. Right, so Uber Industry, the German alliance, was trying to say before I stumbled over my tongue, and they're going to be let's see what the wheel has in store for them. They're going to be finding out who they're getting next, and they get Brenson Ribeiro. Brenson Ribeiro there for Uber Industry, our German alliance. Obviously, Uber Max and Schwer Industry, of course. So they've got a pretty big underdog, possibly the biggest underdog on the cards, because uh, they're up against Umar Sy, hometown fighter, 2-1 in the UFC, 3-1 in KSW, only one loss in his career so far. Um, he won a unanimous decision against Alonso Menefeld last time out, who himself is a staple of the UFC now. Um, Very well rounded. With he can knock you out, he can submit you. He's also gone the distance on a few occasions as well. He's got a complete mixed martial arts skill sets. Um, and Brenson Ribeiro, on the other hand, not quite as well rounded in my opinion. Uh, he's been, he's to be honest, his diagnosis this isn't really looking too good to be honest because he's 2-3 in the UFC, so he's slightly more UFC experience, but uh, it's not the best. He's not had the best of results in the UFC. It's been particularly on the end of a couple of nasty knockout losses. When you add it up, it's actually knocked out twice in the last 19 months, almost, yeah, so yeah, just over 1.5 years. And he's, to be fair to him, he did get a very impressive submission win over Dion Ngozhe, another name I butchered, but he was undefeated 10-0 prospect at the time. And that was only 5 months ago. So he's um still got the ability to pull off a shock. And if he's gonna do that, it's again that's probably the same way he's gonna do it by a submission. But Omar Sy is just gonna be he's well rounded as I've mentioned. He himself is a very threatening guy on the ground, so I don't think there's really anything that Ribeiro's going to uh, show him on the ground that he's not seen already in his career, not faced already. So yeah, I think that's for our other two alliances there, Damas and Uber Industry, with Marcin Tybura and Brenton Ribeiro, respectively. I think they've both of those alliances have got an uphill battle. Uh, Hope not. I'd like to see him go through as part of an alliance myself, but this can be a cruel game, and I think the wheel doesn't like the idea of the alliances all that much. But anyway, last but by no means least is ex-con Chris. Let's see who ex-con Chris is going to be paired with for tomorrow night. See what the wheel's plans for ex-con Chris are, and gets one of the main eventers, Cal Boralho. It's Al Boralho there for ex-con Chris. And as I said, I can't split 'em. I can't split Imavov and Baralho. So I've gone with Baralho just by decision at the moment, but that could change. And Imavov does have the better fighters on his record. He's got that win over Adesanya. Uh, Obviously in his last fights, he's got wins over Cannonier, Delete Sabe, Brendan Allen. It's So, and Baraujo's probably the most notable one win he's got is Cannonier and Paul Craig as well. But so again, he's proven himself against some of the best of the middleweight division. Uh, some of them, anyway. Obviously, I'm obviously more as the more impressive ones, particularly obviously the former champion Adesanya. But I just think that his Barau's just uh slightly more well prepared for this, got a better skill set, and but it's a coin flip fight. Anything can happen in this one. So ex-con Chris with effectively 50-50 chance really. May as well just flip a coin for ex-con Chris on this one. Okay, so that completes the second round draw, and yeah, a bit of a mixed bag that one. Let's see who just run over those names one more time, see who everybody's been paired with. But just to remind ourselves, so I won't try looping it all together, see who's been drawn with who, and because obviously that's going to get quite complicated. I'm sure we can work that out later. But we have A with Axel Solar, Baron von Rattus with Marcin Tybura, Bellatrix with Robert Bryzek, Boom Shakalaka with Reese McKee, C. Collins 44 with Brad Tavares, Cheeseball with Paul Craig, Damien Handel 420 with Sam Hughes, Dr. Max's 2 with Benoit Saint Denis. Foghorn Sam with Reese McKee. Geneva 65 with Paul Craig. Uh, our first alliance, me and KK Kombu, KK Terry with Sam Patterson. Knife Rusty with Brad Tavares. Cushy Cake with Sam Hughes. Piggy Bank with Bellagio Kai. Problem with Reese McKee. Siyun 6 with Rinat Fakhreddinov. Hosh with Benoit Saint Denis. Trig with William Gomez. Uh, Trostradamus, the Costradamus and Tros Alliance. Marcin Tybura. The German Alliance, Uber Industry, with Brenton Ribeiro, and finally Ex-Con Chris with Cal Baralho. Okay, so that completes the draw for the second round, and certainly an interesting mix of favourites and underdogs. But overall, I reckon we'll probably see the field cut in half again, just like it was last week. That seems to be our average. But so everyone, just all that leaves me to say is good luck in this game. Good luck with your picks on Tapology. If you've got any bets on this card, good luck with those. And until next time, so long for now.